just close my eyes again, climbed aboard the Dreamweaver train, trying to take away my worries of today and leave tomorrow behind. I believe you can get me through the night. Ooh, Dreamweaver, I believe we can reach the morning light. Woo! Y'all gon' make me lose my mind. Up in here, up in here. Y'all gon' make me go all out. Up in here, up in here. Y'all gon' make me act a fool. Up in here, up in here. Y'all gon' make me lose my cool. Up in here.
Long time no see, folks. Alright, so I posed a question in the form of a poll on my Twitter account. And so you guys know, this is my Twitter handle here, Michael at I_am_ICT. If you're following anything else besides that, you're not following me. I asked a simple question. At what percentage of drawdown would you or have you lost control and burnt your entire account? And what I was asking specifically for was the trigger percentage as a kind of like a go-to number that I would use for a DrawDown Restoration project, okay, for my YouTube channel. Now obviously this video is not on YouTube because it has some music on it, and to avoid copyright strikes and get accused of trying to monetize other people's things, I don't want to monetize anything with music in it. That's why a lot of my music has been in older videos, because it was there to prevent others from uploading it and making money off of it. So anyone that would be receiving money off of it would be the artist that created the music. So since it's been uploaded to my private server, it is not monetized, so therefore I cannot run ads on it, and it's for your enjoyment and your enrichment. And if you like the music choices, then obviously support the artists. Alright, so the first choice I gave was a 10% drawdown. I had 10% of those individuals out of 386 response. Those individuals said that by way of this poll, 10% would cause them to short circuit and go full tilt and make them go into a series of losing until the entire account's blown out. 8% said 15% of a drawdown would cause that type of effect on their trading. 15% said 20% drawdown in equity would cause them to go full tilt. And not surprisingly, 67% of the 386 people that participated in this poll on Twitter stated that 25% or more would most likely cause a catastrophic full tilt scenario, causing them to lose all of their account or at least lose control over their trading. Now, before I posted that poll, I posted this tweet. This is April 22nd, and I asked everyone to pay specific attention to not the fact that I'm going to give you a series of winning trades, because I've been on Twitter since August of 2017 stating results and showing things and kind of like giving an expose of my consistency, and it's been pretty consistent. So I want to give kind of like a help to those individuals that have ever suffered this. I'm sure if you have ever messed with trading in any capacity of any asset class, you've had drawdown, and the effects of that drawdown many times is not thoroughly understood or anticipated by a new trader, because most authors, most teachers, mentors, whatever, they always focus on how to get you into a trade, what's the setup, what's the criteria, but they never really go as far in as to teach you the mindset that's needed when you absorb, which everyone does, I do it too, we suffer losses and or losing streaks. It doesn't matter how long you've been trading or what system or approach you trade with, you're going to have a series of losing trades. Now, you have a choice. You can have the series of losing trades completely decimate your account and demoralize you to the point at which you can't even think clearly anymore. Or you can look at it as, this is what's going to happen. It's a probability-based industry. You have absolutely no control over what the market's going to do. You only have control over what you're going to do in response, or how you're going to respond to data that's given to you by way of the marketplace and price action to facilitate a new executed trade or an idea. So that assumed risk, once you enter the trade, that is what you have to endure. You can't do anything about what's going to happen with the market once you enter the market. You have absolutely 100% of the control while you're outside the marketplace, because there's no risk and there's no reward. But once you relinquish that control by entering the marketplace and you enter that arena, invariably you're going to have losing trades. So I've been doing this for a long time, teaching concepts and things that I believe have merit, and I want to kind of like draw my audience to a area of price action study that is the least touched on. And the reason why, I believe, is because most people just simply don't know how to do it. Everyone can talk about, certain things that lead to potentially or hypothetical profitability. And I'm not here to teach that today. What I'm going to kind of like build up an introduction to and lay the foundation for an ongoing project. And now, obviously, this is always going to be done in the medium I've always used, by way of a demo account. It's important that you understand that I'm not promising you these same results, and I'm not promising you that you are able to do this. I'm only giving you a scenario that you'll be left to judge whether or not there is any substance to it, okay? I'm not making any promises. So I just want to show you my approach, how I would handle it, and kind of give you at least one example of many that are available to you once you understand what you're doing. So this week I went into this whole project with not aiming to show you any winning trades at all. I was deliberately going in to derail the account, and the following week, which is next Monday, which would be the 30th of April 2018, we would start working towards restoring the drawdown and try to do it in a capacity that would be deemed proper, okay, not trying to rush to get back to it. And what do I mean by rush? Well, if you've ever suffered drawdown or a series of losing trades, the first thing comes to mind is, I want to get this money back, or I want to get my demo account back to break even or pre-drawdown equity base. Okay, so let's go over to the MyFX book. Okay, and shrink this up so you guys can get a better view of it. There you go. So this is my demo account that I'm using right now for this project, and I'm showing you the account number. Okay, the account number is 1305113, and it started with $5,000 of demo dollars, meta dollars. Okay, and then by way of your poll choices, I took the account down below negative 25%. So I went below negative 25% or more than 25% drawdown, even though it says an absolute drawdown. I did at one point have the account up to 5264, and that was what I used to kind of like facetiously move into this intro. So if you've ever tried trading, okay, the purpose of the intro of this video was kind of like to illustrate and encapsulate what every new trader does when they first get involved with this. They're baptized in the industry with dabbling with a demo account. And sometimes they get lucky, most times actually, they get lucky right away with something happening in the marketplace where their equity increases and they feel like they're going to be able to conquer the world. Okay, and there's going to be no end to their riches. I don't teach that. I don't promote those ideas. In fact, I want you to be sober-minded to think the opposite, because very easily what you already have before you start trading could be taken from you. You can lose your house, you can lose your finances, you can lose your wife, your husband, you can lose your job by the stress and breakdown of losing equity, okay, in the marketplace. If you don't know what you're doing, you're going to have real tangible losses. And it's not always limited to the equity that's in your account. You can lose a lot more than you've ever imagined. This industry is like a vampire. It will suck the blood and the marrow from your bones if you give it the opportunity to do so. So, if we look at this as a case study, okay, in my mentorship, while I was teaching the core content, I gave kind of like case studies that my students are encouraged to use as foundational studies to build on their understanding. Now, they're not going to be always a positive response or outcome. Just like trading, you're not going to get the best scenario as your result. And I don't ever want to sugarcoat that to give you the impression that trading is easy, because trading is very difficult. Now, the exercise or the application of applying the rules, if you stick to them, that makes trading easy. What makes it next to impossible is humans by nature are very habitual about not following rules. Okay, I've used this example many times in the past. We have a yellow line that separates the ongoing traffic from the lane of traffic that we drive our vehicles in. 90% of the accidents that take place, if they never cross that yellow line, generally it's pretty much not going to happen. If you have a car going opposite direction, you won't have a head-on collision if either car stays on their side of the road. The problem with that is we start adding variables, okay, like intoxication and alcohol and drug use. Those things inhibit our perception. Now, that same chemical imbalance that's caused by drinking and driving or using substances while operating a motor vehicle, that same phenomenon takes place in the marketplace. Now, when we get a loss or we suffer a losing trade, the first thing that happens, obviously, is we're disappointed. We're angry. We regret having done the trade. Many times we will more or less say to ourselves out loud, or at least mentally say it, I wish I would have never done that, or I knew this was probably going to happen. I should have never did it. That doesn't deter you to stay out of the marketplace for a little while. What happens is the chemical response is uncomfortable. It causes you discomfort. And like anything else, we will look for ways to try to remedy that. And much like it was taught by alcoholism, when you're drunk and you get a hangover, the cliche was, I want to get a little bit of the hair of the dog that bit me. In other words, I want to drink some more alcohol to get rid of my hangover. Doesn't make sense to me. I'm not a drinker. Maybe you can confirm that works for you. That's not my forte. But I do understand the mechanics that go on in the human mind when loss is endured. And that's not limited to just what the market's done. So we've just recently had a loss in our circle of friends and family, and it's not fun. So when that occurs, that's certainly not an invitation for you to go into the marketplace and trade, because why? You're looking for a feel-good response. You want to have a removal, if you will, or at least a temporary numbing of the pain or discomfort you're having. And many times we go into trading with that same idea because we hate our jobs, we hate our routine lives, we don't have enough in our mind about being successful. We're not happy with or content with what we are doing presently. Good health isn't enough, apparently, for some people. They want to get rich and they want to buy lavish things, and they view the marketplace as that vehicle that gets them there. And while that can happen for some, my idea of teaching people about trading is, if you work outside of a demo account into a live account and you do so on your own decision, not because I'm me prodding you, you can do well. Now, do well is going to be defined by whoever wants to define it, because my interpretation of doing well is not going to be the same as everyone else. Can you replace one of your utility bills per month? Sure, it's possible. And that's the type of mindset I like to teach people, because in the beginning, everyone else is told it's all about Lamborghinis, penthouse living, and the Playboy lifestyle. And it doesn't always equate to that. Many times it's the opposite. And because everyone else in the teaching circuit teaches us to buy and sell signals and the criteria that gets us into a trade, and they can do the standard regurgitated 2% rule, money management, this, that, and the other thing. But hardly ever do we ever get exposed to how to fix what's broken. Okay, and I think that's, again, largely linked to the fact that most of the traders, educators, are not in a position where they should be even educating at all. There's a long list of people that I could have filled this video up with and poked fun at, and their trading disciplines and how, I have a personal opinion about them or their so-called approaches. That's not the aim on this video. Okay, I kind of want to be neutral for this specific topic because it's applicable to everyone. If you trade, crypto, if you trade forex, futures, stocks, whatever. The project that I'm doing here is really intended to kind of give you a mindset overhaul. And it's not meant to be a show off. I'm not trying to be Mr. Equity Increase. That's not what this is about. It's how to deal with losing trades. Okay, so I want to look at the examples here. I only took a few, and on Friday I just put some trades on and off real quick just to drop the equity down. So there really was no rhyme or reason why I was doing Friday's trades. But if you go through and you look at the trade history, you can see these are the trades that I did. And on Friday, you can see I just got in and out of a lot of the trades on Euro, just to drop the equity down to be more than 25% drawdown. Now, on the other instances for the trades, what I was simply doing was I was looking at an old support or an old resistance idea on an intraday level and just using that as support or resistance. So I really wasn't trying to make fun of any particular discipline. I wasn't trying to, make light of anybody else's approach, because there really is a lot of ways to make money trading. But my personal opinion that is consistent is the things that I teach, because it makes sense. Those things repeat, and they're predictable, and you can anticipate them. When it comes to simply looking at support and resistance, the old adage is pick a good support and what's a good resistance. Well, the problem is it's so vague. There's no way to define what makes a good support resistance level to trade off of. So it's not that I'm trying to, again, fault any other discipline. I'm avoiding that whole approach. That's why I'm not going through any of the trades here. But just so you guys know, if you look at these examples and follow what I did in each one of them, I was using just a simple short-term support or resistance, old high, old low, and anticipating an old low being support or an old high being resistance. And that's really all I used to cause the drawdown, or the opposite to what I would anticipate normally in my trading. For those individuals that are in my mentorship, you'll be able to see the trades, especially in the British pound, because we were calling that lower last Sunday, and higher dollar. All of those analysis concepts came to fruition this week, especially with the euro dollar and the dollar index. But I faded all those insights with these trades. So it's not that I did these trades, I made mistakes, and I'm just trying to put lipstick on it, because why else would I be showing you this MT4 MyFX book? You would have never known about this had I not talked about it beforehand. So why I'm doing this, and I could drop the account all the way down to 80% and still show the increase of equity. It's not the point of how far it can go down. As long as you have equity to trade with, the rules and procedures and concepts I'm going to share and the approach of it is what I want to kind of focus on. But around 25%, if an equity base drops to that point, panic really sets in. Okay, because number one, there's a total tilt that goes on inside mentally. Psychologically, you're angry, you're going to vent, you need to have some level of control given back to you, and the problem is the market's not going to do that. The market's not simply going to be, your sugar daddy and say, well, look, you need a hit, you need to feel good, you need warm and fuzzies. So come in here and I'll give you something to make you feel better. That's what goes on between the ears of the trader, and they think if they take another trade, and many times they're just getting in just to get some kind of response, because it hurts to be on the sidelines outside of the marketplace while your account is in drawdown. It hurts because it feels like you're not doing anything, and you need to be doing more, doing something. Anything at all is better than sitting on the sidelines while your account is in a losing state. Now, you can't lose any more money once you go to a flat position. Flat or sidelines is a position. It's always profitable. Even though your account may be in drawdown, it's still profitable because you're not hemorrhaging more equity. That's the first rule in capital preservation, is when you do take a loss or you suffer a massive loss in equity, you have to stop the bleeding. You have to stop the trading. If you do not, you're going to blow the account. Now, this is the hardest lesson for people to learn. I've had students of mine do very, very well with the concepts I've taught, and they've done very well with a live account doing so. The problem is when they get that first period of losing trades, this is what goes on in their mind, and it happens with everyone, but they will not listen to good advice when I say stop trading and give yourself a week or two off. That sounds like the worst idea in the world, and I'm sure they're cussing me under their breath as much as respect that they have for me, but the point is they will not listen. Why? Why won't they listen? They've listened to me before as their mentor, okay, and you may not be listening to me now. You're probably going to listen to this video. You probably have already turned it off because it's not talking about an order block or get in and get out type thing, okay, but this type of lesson is what every trader needs to know. If they don't have these tools and principles, it doesn't matter what you use to get in and out of the trade. Okay, because even if you're 80% accurate, you can still dust your account with a couple losing trades. Think about it. You could be 99% accurate. Eventually, that 99% isn't going to stay there. You're going to have a series of losing trades. And if you do not know how to manage yourself and your equity and preserve it and try to come back from it with a sober approach, you're going to blow the account. Okay, it's simple math. It works like this all the time. So if you don't understand it going in, you're going to be just like the rest of the statistics, and you're going to be, on the sidelines with no equity, no trading account, and a whole slew of regret. So I'll leave it for you to go through all the trades and look at what I did. And I'm not going to use this function over here where I can do like a trade commentary. You can do like little journal entries and such. I'm going to do that starting next week when I do the other trades. Okay, in other words, I'm trying to build the account back up. My goal is, all I want to do is put the account at plus 30%. Now, I can do a whole lot more than that, and I can do it in short fashion, but that's not the design or intended purpose for this project. It's to show you how, if it were me, and I was starting out as a new trader, and I was learning what I've already taught the public, this is how I would do it. Now, it's not going to be Speed Racer's approach, okay, where I'm going to have 15 guys on Twitter tell me, well, I could have done that in a week. Look, we're not talking about the 1K challenge on Twitter, okay, where people's equities are going up and down 300% in a week, okay, and sometimes in 1 week, 1,500%, okay. Every one of those individuals that are in the red on that 1K challenge, they all fell victim to this. And some of those individuals that were in the top 3 fell victim to this. And one of my students fell victim to this. Okay, so the desire for me to do this lesson was really for him. Okay, because it's demoralizing, and I don't want any one of my students to feel any shame, because if you can learn from that mistake, you will be a better trader from it. It happened to me, and I've lost a lot of real money. Okay, I've lost a lot. And it wasn't until I had those real life losing streaks that made me a better, more profitable trader. Today, with the concepts that I see and apply in the marketplace, I would have never appreciated or trusted those individual concepts had I not felt the pain and, well, loss. It's Not fun. And you have to have something to make you respect the marketplace, because when you are losing trades and you're losing equity, you no longer fear the worst case scenario. You start thinking, well, it hurt, it sucked, that last losing trade, but I still had something. I still have bullets in the clip. That happens only so often, and eventually you're out of bullets. And you either go and you put more money in the account, and then you start doing the same thing I'm talking about here, toxic thinking. You can't allow that to take place. You can't. And no mentor, no teacher, no ICT, no book, nothing, no webinar, no self-help stuff, nothing is going to fix it except for discipline. Every individual that has tried to do trading account contests, or tried to build their account up real quick, or tried to rush their equity drawdown, back to pre-drawdown equity base, they all fall victim to this. Now, what's the answers? What's the solution to it? Well, number one is don't rush. You cannot rush to get it back. And you don't know how long it's going to take to get it back. You don't know what trades are going to be there to set it up to allow you the catalysts that will be a series of events that eventually, hopefully, get you back to pre-drawdown state. Then, at that point, then you can start thinking about building an account out beyond that. But the number one rule is don't rush. You cannot rush it. No one gets their drawdown back like that each time. Okay, each drawdown is going to be uniquely different too, because there's going to be many things that led to that drawdown that you need to be aware of. And the only way you're going to know what they are, and they're triggers. Okay, if you have a job, I'm thankful enough to not have that problem anymore. But when I did have a job, I was always stressed out about that job because I spent way too much time doing it for far too little money. Many times that's going to be the driving force for you to do trades, because you just simply want to get out of it. The problem is that doesn't work. Okay, you have to go slow. You have to build your equity slow. You have to do things slow in restoration of drawdown, because speed kills. It absolutely stunts growth. You cannot go rapid fire into this industry and expect to do that, the whole life cycle. You can't. Everyone that tries that burns out. It doesn't matter how hot your hand is right now, you will blow out as soon as you start feeling this whole pressure. If you look at the Robbins contest for 2018 so far, there was a trader that did an exceptional amount of percentage return in the futures division and has fallen precipitously from those great heights. On the Twitter 1K challenge, there were a few traders that rocketed up pretty quick. One in particular, she did exceedingly well in terms of percentage return, but has now since buried herself in the graveyard. So her epitaph is written, I was there 1,500%, but I couldn't close the show. The reason why is the drawdown that took place. Now, I know some of you are going to be cynical and say, well, you didn't join it, Michael, you shouldn't be talking. I know better. I know what that environment does, and I know my personality. Making 1,100%, 1,600%, 2,500% isn't going to be enough to, number one, satisfy me, and it's not going to satisfy any one of my viewers. They're going to say, well, I expect you to do more. So I'm not going to win no matter what. So all I'm suggesting to those individuals that are in that, and specifically one, he is my student, so I'm really talking to him right now. The purpose of this is to kind of like bring you back to the thought processes that are necessary to restore equity drawdown. The things that you do to build your equity back are the same things you do if you never suffered a drawdown. But the problem is perception has been skewed. Just like alcoholics getting behind the wheel of a car, when they're sober, they're probably the safest people in the world to drive with or drive around. But intoxicated, they're the worst thing to be on the road. Or those individuals that would be under the influence of substances that are illegal, that impair vision, impair depth perception, okay, that retard speed and reaction responses from the brain. And obviously the result would be what? Many times deadly. Okay, loss of life, loss of property, damage. Okay, well, those same things occur in trading. So the magic formula is, as soon as you have a period of drawdown, let's go back up to our equity curve here. Okay, initially, right out the gate, we have a little bit of a pop, and then this is the warm and fuzzy right here. Every little bump up at the beginning feels like a major victory, and you start counting your pennies about when you're going to go on vacation, what the next amount of money you're going to do, when you're going to quit your job, your new car, which you can pay off, and you're placing things in your mind ahead of the trade. So what you're trying to do is equate that same money for time principle that you use at your job. That does not work with trading. You can't do that. You can't say, all right, well, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to trade all the London sessions this next coming week, and I'm going to trade 2 New York sessions, and I'm going to make enough to buy groceries and put the last down payment on the boat or the 4-wheeler I want to have to give to my kids or whatever. What you're doing is you're guaranteeing yourself an execution, and you're inspiring yourself to do it on the basis of poor planning. You can't look at the market and say, all right, well, this is going to be an unlimited ATM for me, and I'm going to go in there and I'm going to do this and do this, and I'm going to make this much money, and there it is. There's all kinds of flakes that act like that on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. They pretend that they can do that anytime they want, and I try to keep people from thinking that way, okay? When you look at the marketplace and you find a trade, it should be on the basis that you found the trade on the merit that builds that model that you're trading, not the potential reward that would be used as an enticement for you to get in the marketplace. That's the worst thing to do. Okay, so right away, when there's initial luck or positive growth in equity, the trader feels smarter. They feel encouraged. They want to do something else right away, and they want to do it in more grandiose style, because if they saw a 4% growth the first day, then wow, if I do that every single day, Monday through Friday for a month, I'm going to do XYZ on my equity. And if I do that for 3 months in a row, never factoring in a series of losing trades, never factoring in the effects of that loss of equity on one trade, and that occurs right here. Now, when the trade drops the equity down below the starting balance, it may be a little uncomfortable, but when the trader starts thinking about what they were thinking about right before this trade here or after that trade, and they were rewarding themselves ahead of time, saying, when I make this X amount of money in the marketplace, I'm going to buy myself, or I'm going to buy my spouse this, or I'm going to go away with this much money and go vacation or holiday. What you're doing is using the 9-to-5 scenario where you go to work for your boss, you exchange your time for money. Now, in that scenario, it works because you know what you're going to get if you just show up to work. You go to work, you put in your time, you know your check's going to look like this or that, minus the deductions and taxes, and then you know what you can have to spend generally. Okay, that does not work in Forex. It does not work in the marketplace. If you use that, thought process, it's going to hurt you. And the same thing happens when you're in drawdown. You start giving yourself this, I need to get it back. I had the last 2 trades were losing trades. There's no way I'm going to have another losing trade. Chances are I'm going to win. It's where the martingale mistake comes in. And you start increasing the leverage. You increase the frequency of your trades because you just want to get a win. Now, in your mind, you're going to say, I just need to get 1 win. I'll get 1 win, and I'll stop trading for the week, and I'll just leave it alone. I just need to feel good. Well, if you get lucky enough, and I show that in my results, 1 winning trade in a series of losing trades, it doesn't bring back much of the equity, but that winning trade is like poison, because now it feels like, okay, well, I've turned the corner. Now all my trades are going to be winners, or at least enough to get me back to break even. So, and you increase the leverage again. You use a wider stop and a shorter take profit. Everything goes out the window. All the trading rules, all the approaches that you built up, or maybe you didn't have it at all, but you start gambling. And as soon as you put the trades on, you have no idea what you're expecting after the trade gets on. What you got into the marketplace over, what was the catalyst, that no longer is anything at all in your mind. It doesn't exist. Now you're just looking at the ups and downs of your equity, and you're just staring at that balance going up and down. You don't care about how many pips it's moving. You don't care how much the leverage has been used to expose yourself to that risk. You haven't even considered how much the money's going to be taking in terms of when getting stopped out. You are afforded the amount of leverage when you put the trade on, and you just want to have a winner. And if you can get 20 pips out of the move, great. If you can risk 40 pips to get it, it doesn't matter to you because you've had several losses. So therefore, your next series of trades should be winners. And you don't need a whole lot of movement in your mind. That's what's happening. So you're talking yourself into it's going to be safe for you to be drunk behind the wheel. It's not going to be safe for you to do that. And right about this point here, okay, I used the participants in my poll to use this as the turning point. Okay, so everyone, majority-wise, have suggested by that poll that 25% or more would be the trigger that causes people to go full tilt. So I'm going to use this as the benchmark. Okay, and I'll show you going into next week. I'm not promising it's going to come back next week. That's not what I'm not trying. I'm going to make sure it doesn't happen in 1 week. I want to show you how to restore that equity drawdown and build in a more constructive approach to thinking about the marketplace. And you'll be able to see that through my journaled entries. Every time I do a trade, it'll show up next to the trade here. Okay, like I can put a comment next to them. So when you click on one of these trades that show in my history, and this will remain public so that way you guys can see it. But you guys can see what is going on in my mind. Now, there's going to be some pantomime a little bit, okay, because I have to pretend to be the trader that is heartbroken and in disarray. And I want to try to like give you that example, and once I come out of that drawdown, then I'll go into more of a, me, how I would internalize the marketplace. So that way you can see how the transition takes place from a toxic thinking trader, which has no trade journal, no reasons as to why they took the trade, to a more structured approach. And the approach I'm going to use is the scalping concept that I gave. It's on my YouTube channel, Inner Circle Trader. You guys can study that. It's on my free forum too, and I gave you amplified teachings on that as well. That's what I'm going to be using. That's the model I'm going to use to restore this equity and go to a plus 30% on equity. And at that, then I'll kill the project, and there it is. But the MyFX book will stay open. It will not show open trades or open orders because I don't want anybody piggybacking me, because like I said in the beginning, there's going to be some pantomime in there. In other words, what I'm saying is I'm going to try not to do winners right away. Okay, I'm going to kind of like put a couple little things in there, little curveballs, but still nonetheless show the restoration of the equity. And it's not going to take 4 months to do it, obviously, but I want to show what would, in my opinion, because I get to ask this a lot, how long should it take me to get back from XYZ drawdown? Well, we all collectively, by way of the majority, said that 25% or more would be the trigger point. So right now, anyone who would be suffering this would go probably full tilt on Sunday's opening and try to rush to get it back. And I don't want you to do that. I want you to see how I would personally approach trading this account if it happened to me. Okay? And that's all we're going to talk about for this video. And I will update you guys next weekend. And if any results are shown then, obviously you can get that by way of the entries on the journal portion of the MyFX book. And I'll leave it at that. And until I talk to you next time, I wish you good luck and good trading.
I ain't never getting bored. Anything is possible, I've seen it all before. And even if they win the battle, no, I'm about to win the war. Yeah, it's going down, I'm about to shake the Coliseum.